Hi, I'm Scott McLean from transmusicmastery.com, and in this video I'm going to program the Follow You pad on Massive, and this is the patch that Adam Sabo created originally on Zebra 2. So let's go ahead and play that. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring Zebra 2 up, and I want to disable each of the modules in Zebra 2 except for oscillator 1. This is an 11 voice oscillator, detuned slightly wide, and a slight increase over its default volume. And the envelope one is a long attack, sustain at full, and a long release. So let's go ahead and reproduce that. I'm going to select pulse saw, PWM, have these pulse saw position, pulse width, and amplifier all the way at their clockwise position. And let's just check the global tuning here is at -12, and that corresponds to the global tuning in Zebra 2, so we don't have to make any adjustments for that. And then for the voicing, we want to set the unisono to 11 to start off with, and then we're going to use this unisono spread to do some detuning of those 11 waveforms. And so before I set the detune amount, let me turn the volume, master volume, down and bring this up. So I'm going to play it now. I'm just trying to match the level in Zebra 2. So let me go ahead and increase the unisono spread on pitch. In fact, I'm going to set it about halfway and bring this level down here, which will give us a finer range to work with. Bring it down to about 0.1. Then also spread the pan position, that will make it wider. Okay, that's pretty close. And next, let's set up the envelope. Now, by default, envelope 4 is modulating the amplifier, so that's already configured for us. So envelope 4 is the one that we want to adjust. We want to increase the attack. Okay, that's pretty close to what we have in Zebra 2 for that envelope. So now let's go ahead and add oscillator 2. This is 11 voices pitched 1 octave up and detuned and slightly wide. So let's go ahead and set that up. So to do that, enable oscillator 2, set its wave type to pulse saw PWM. In fact, let me just verify those waveforms are saw waves. Make sure these are the pulse saw position, pulse width, and amp are all in their fully clockwise position. So that's a good example right there, that comparison I just did. You could hear the higher pitched oscillator component in this sound versus this sound. So let me do that again in case you missed it. Okay, there's a higher pitch present in this patch. So let me go ahead and add that to the massive patch by tuning oscillator 2 pitch to 12, plus 12. That will raise it 1 octave. Okay, next we want to set unisono to 22. And we're going to have to lower the volume level now because we've added those extra voices. It's increased the output level, so let's lower it to match Zebra 2. The Zebra 2 sounds narrower to me, this patch, so I'm going to decrease the pan position here. Okay, that sounds better. And finally, let me just make an adjustment to the unisono spread on pitch, which is in effect detuning. Okay, that sounds close. Now what I'm going to do is enable oscillator 3, and this is a 4-voice oscillator, detuned, maximum width, default volume. So let's go ahead. And just notice that relative to oscillator 1 and 2, it's at a lower volume than these two. So we'll probably end up bringing the amp down on this guy. So let's enable oscillator 3, set the waveform to pulse, saw, PWM. Make sure these are all fully clockwise. In fact, I'll bring this level down and then bring it up. Okay. That's sounding pretty close. Now let's add EQ, EQ 1 and 2. Let's just look at these curves. What EQ 2 is doing is it's got a high shelf filter here, basically putting in a cut right around 5.5K, and that's being applied to whatever EQ 1 settings are. So in effect, what we end up getting is this curve up to about 5.5K, and then it'll dip down here. Instead of going across flat, that'll be brought down a little bit because of this little scoop here from EQ2. So again, we have a synthesizer here in Massive that does not have as flexible an EQ or as sophisticated an EQ as we have here with 4 different filters. We've got a high shelf, low shelf, or low shelf, high shelf, plus 2 mid filters. And with Massive, we have a high shelf, a low shelf, and then a boost and frequency in between. So in order to achieve this EQ, we would need to use an external EQ. But I'm going to try to see what we can do with the Massive EQ. Okay, now Zebra 2 sounds wider, so I'm going to increase this pan position unisono spread on massive. I think that's as close as I can get it with the EQ that's built into massive. So next what I'm going to do is add reverb. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, it's pretty close as it is now, okay? But what I want to do is go ahead and add one element that I skipped over in Zebra 2 is this filter. So let's bring this filter in. It's LP mid-drive. It's not really used too much, but it does roll off the upper extreme end. So let's see what happens when we add this. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to an low pass 4-pole filter. Bring the cutoff all the way up, resonance all the way down, and let's go ahead and see how this affects the sound. Okay, I think that's pretty close, so I'll go ahead and leave it at that. I'll see you in the next video.